Hi, how are you all? Let me see who's here. George, good morning, George. Joanne, good morning. Saturday, friends. I love when you say that. There's something so beautiful about that. Lauren and Rick, welcome. Carolyn, Dave and Lynn. Nancy, hi. Martha, good morning. Cindy and George. And Dina, good morning. So, see how we have some couples? I love this. This is when the husbands come. Which is great. Oh, and Steve is probably out there, and Joy is probably out there, and probably Lee. I'm thinking of all the people that email me after class and they say, that was great, or I was here, or I feel good, or whatever it is. So, welcome. And then I want to read for you George's jokes. George is the resident jokester on Saturday mornings in our normal when we're in person, which we will be again one day. I was thinking about that recently. I know that right now it seems like that's an improbability. And for those of you that don't live locally, of course, that's not probable for you, unless we're all together in Scotland one day on a retreat, which is what I've been dreaming of. Um, anyway, so George lightens the day with some jokes, and he did some that are kind of specific to gardening since I've been talking a lot about that. So I'd love to share two of the jokes that George sent to me this week. What do you call farmers' unfinished short stories? Suspenders. Thanks, George. Okay. How do carrots feel after their greens have been removed? Tops. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys find that as funny as I do. And I know George is there watching on his TV and he's still entertaining us, which is lovely. So, some normalcy in the not normal. So, today for stress reduction, I want to really get across today the aspect of linking the subconscious mind with the conscious mind. And that may be an unfamiliar thought process for you. So, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the World Health Organization has added one of the aspects of our overall care: physical, mental, emotional. And the word spiritual was put in there not to denote any particular uh, spiritual belief or practice, which would be termed maybe more of a religion. So, the fact that we are more than what we see, that we have a subtle energetic aspect to us. And when we get affected mentally, emotionally, it's in that layer, that unseen layer, that things happen. And it's this chronic stress response of our baby brain, of our primitive limbic loop, which is the back of the brain. It's our reptilian brain, where for millions of years this has kept us safe. If humans did walk the earth millions of years ago, let's not get too crazy here with the what ifs. However long humans have been here, this part of our brain has been developing. And those of us that are here today in physical form, survival of the fittest of the species, we have survived and here we are. So we have these really strongly developed brains that are deep in thought, trying to keep us safe, looking at things, hearing things, tasting things, sensing things. So that's our subconscious. We're not aware of that. We're not aware when you get that gut reaction when you're around someone, or that feeling for someone when you're around them, whether you like them or not, that energy you feel, that's a gut reaction. That's this background subconscious part of you telling you, yeah, that's a safe person to be around, or this is not a safe person for you to be around, or whatever it is. So today, I want our practice to be very much about present moment. We're going to take the subconscious and the conscious, we're going to link them, and yoga wisdom teaches us how to do that. So you're lucky you're in the right place to learn about that. Hi, Sharon. I see that you just arrived. Hi, Eleanor and Stan. So another couple has entered the house. Martha, yes, please, Scotland. Scotland will happen. Can I say a little bit about Scotland? There's a show I'm watching right now about Mary Queen of Scots. It's one of the most famous queens of Scotland. It's called Reign. It's a series. So I'm just trying to let my brain be jello, because I've been spending so much time creating my osteoporosis lifestyle courses right now that I needed to take a break. And this is my like guilty pleasure. And I'm going to say that's when I allow myself to go subconscious. Okay, so I hope that I'm able to articulate and get that raised awareness to come to you all, that the way we end up feeling is stimulated either present moment with our senses, what we see, hear, feel, touch, taste, or memories. So memories of our life. And in a yogic wisdom, it's past lives as well, if that's something that resonates with you or you believe in that as well. So let's take the time to realize that we're going to arrive and show up today, right now, to link the conscious and the subconscious to come into the conscious realm. So let's come back onto our mats. Um, the thing is that to come to the conscious, one of the tools that is used in the practice of yoga is breath. So breath is the beginning. It's almost like the initiation of getting on the horse, because we're going to start to have an interaction as a rider with the horse. Instead of us being the rider, which is here that we know, and then the subconscious being this horse that's either going to take off or not take off or do whatever it's going to be doing, which is our mind, bucking, running, doing whatever. So the way to do that, one of the first approaches to that is the breath. So can we come in a seated position, please? I don't start this way often. Um, if you are in classes with me in person, what you'll notice is that I almost always start on the ground to ground our mental energy, to get us from a place of here to there, here, conscious to subconscious. I'd like us to sit for a second, because when we sit, we actually get full range of motion in the lungs. So I'm going to give you a couple of positions to sit in. For those of you with knee and hip issues, sitting in what's called Sukhasana, easy seat, takes the upper legs into external rotation, gives a little more space for the external rotators to expand. So that's one option, is Sukhasana. And also, let me just say a little bit about the Sukhasana position. The Sukhasana position, because the seated position allows the lungs to freely move in all 6 ranges of motion, which is going to deepen the breath, which is going to be good for our energy body to bring in more oxygen, which the cells use to create energy. It's also a way to regulate the nervous system. When we can get our breath rate to about 6 breaths per minute, the sinus heart rate to be in a perfect, rhythmic, healthy, optimal, healthy cardiovascular place, 6 breaths per minute. The average adult is 12 to 15. So that's half of what we usually do. To be in this upright position, you have a greater chance of using more respiratory muscles and getting the lungs to move and bring in as much oxygen as possible, which is going to give you that ability to slow down the breath. So in the Sukhasana position, if your knees are up here, which for some of you they may be, whether you have issues in your knees or you have tightness in your knees, and you could take blocks under and support them. For the others, I'm going to have you come into a form of Vajrasana, hero's pose, which is this pose here. And I would suggest that you support it with a block. You support it with a block. The block goes between the ankles. So for those of you that have knees that are okay bending, and I know not all of you here do have that, bendable knees, you could sit on the block. So it's between your ankles. Don't have it too close. And this is going to give you that nice erect spine. Or you may try to get a bolster and put a bolster in between your heels and your tushy. And this is a nice thing to do, or even to sit on a bolster or rolled up blankets or something between your knees. And you'll notice how my spine takes a pretty natural curve shape, as opposed to anything that resembles this, which is very restrictive for the respiratory system. So find whatever it is you'd like in your body. We're going to do a couple of things to move the lungs, expand the lungs, and create more elasticity and more movability in our muscles of respiration, the muscles that actually do the job of respiration. The lungs are not muscular. They go along with the ride. And the diaphragm down here, the primary breather, is like kind of like a plunger, or it's like bellows where it draws in or sucks in. So let's come to this position here, whichever you have got yourself into at this point, either the Sukhasana or a supported Vajrasana position, nice and erect spine and your natural curves. And if this is something you've never done before, it feels really good. And a lot of people, when I teach them this, they love it. And people actually start to sit like this often. And I do as well, whenever I'm on the floor, I come into Vajrasana quite often. So let's come into this Vajrasana, hero's pose, or the Sukhasana, or whatever. If you need to go to a chair because that works for you, then that's great too. If you are in a chair, bring yourself away from the back of it. Don't let your back be rested. Have yourself upright so the body is in this fully free range of motion position so that you have all this ability to fully expand. We're going to do 3 different rounds of breath to open up the breath or open up the lungs or the respiratory apparatus in all of its ranges of motion. The first breath that we're going to do is this. You're going to take the hands, palms are up. You inhale to bring the hands, you roll the hands, the backs of the hands come on the forehead, and you continue to open your throat, let your elbows go back, open your chest. This puts the body into extension, stretches the front of the body, and then the exhale, the hands come down. For those of you with shoulder issues, it's usually the rising of the arms pretty high that aggravates them. And when you come into this position here, you actually go into external rotation, placing that shoulder head farther back in the capsule. And you're not pushing your forehead with your hands, you're resting them there. And you're allowing your heart to lift forward, your elbows to go back. That will be the inhale, and the exhale will be down. This is the flexion and extension. For the widening or the lateral movement of the respiratory system, we're going to inhale like you're pulling apart a piece of taffy or something where you're creating a lengthening aspect to it. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And then when you exhale, you're going to come home. Yeah, come home. Come back to the center and allow the arms to squeeze and compress the respiratory cavity. Now, you want to make sure you don't round when you do this. So the compression of your upper respiratory system is with the arms, you're squeezing and compressing, but don't allow the upper back to come into flexion. And I learned this from someone in India when the pandemic first began, and he spoke about the need for respiratory health during this time. So this is to increase our respiratory health, and then from that deeper aspect of us to bring our subconscious and conscious together. So that second one will be really lengthening, and think about from here that you get wider, wider, wider. And then we're going to come, and each time you come forward, you're going to try to take one other hand on top. One hand is on top and then the other forearm on top. The last movement is to lengthen the lungs from top to bottom. The hands begin down alongside the body in Tadasana, mountain pose. Palms are forward. You're going to inhale forward and up. You get your hands here and then you bend your elbows. Let your hands rest on your elbows. Let your hands rest on your head when you exhale. On the inhale, you lengthen and you reach your elbows and your forearms up towards the sky. And then when you exhale, you come down. So for those of you with shoulder issues, just notice what you can. The goal on that last one is to inhale to the upper lungs and the lower lungs at the same time. It's an inhale, hold on to the elbows, let the hands rest on the head, lengthen, 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 and then bring yourself all the way down. Okay, so we're going to do 4 rounds of each because I'd like it to be even when we come to, actually, let's do 3 of the first and the third, and we'll do 4 of the middle one. Okay, so bring your awareness to this moment. Close your eyes. This is you making that shift from what was happening up until now to you actually taking control of your breath. You taking over, grabbing the reins of the mind. If the mind were a horse, you are taking control. Let your lips gently touch. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. Keep the mouth closed. The act of breathing in through both nostrils starts to slow down the breath rate, starts to warm up the breath when it comes in, starts to capture particles in the air so the immune system can start to work on any foreign invaders. I want you to feel what's happening in your lungs. Feel where the breath goes. Feel how low it goes. Feel what happens. So be very aware in the feeling of this. Breathing down to your body. Feeling this in the body. Let's begin our breathing to expand the respiratory cavity in its maximum range of motion. Bring the palms up, the hands, backs of the hands are on the thighs. The eyes could be open or closed. As you begin your inhalation, raise the arms up. Let the backs of the hands rest on the forehead. Elbows go out to the side. As you finish your inhale, feel how deep that is. Open up that chest. As you exhale, allow the hands to come back down onto the thighs. Go slow here. Inhale, slowly raise the arms up. Backs of the hands find the forehead. The elbows go to the side. Open the throat. Open the chest. Lift the heart. Feel that stretch coming into that gentle back bend. Exhale, let the hands come back down. Last one like this. Inhale. And then exhale, hands are down. We're going to lengthen out to the side. On your inhale, feel like you're stretching a big piece of taffy. Feel the sides of the ribs expand, expand, expand. And as you exhale, compress your lungs. Notice which forearm is on top. Squeeze without rounding your upper spine. Inhale slowly as if you're stretching, 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 getting wider, wider, wider. And then exhale, opposite hand goes on top. Compress and squeeze your entire rib cage with your arms. Inhale. Get wider from the sides of your lungs. Exhale, opposite forearm on top. Inhale, last one. And then bring your hands, squeeze, compress, squeeze out every last drop. Squeeze, 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 like you're squeezing the last drop out of this tube of toothpaste. And then bring your hands down. Take your hands down by your sides. Inhale, arms go up. Bend the elbows, rest the hands on the head at the exhale. Inhale, lengthen, lift your arms up, lift your chest, stretch your chest, and then exhale to lower. Inhale, palms are up. Let your chest rise, let your heart be lifted. Exhale to rest. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, last time. Palms are forward. Inhale. Exhale, rest. Inhale. And then exhale, let your hands come down. Close your eyes. Go inside your body. Let your lower diaphragm, the primary breathing muscle that lines the entire lower rib cage, let that draw downward to draw in the breath deep into the lungs. Feel the belly fill with breath. So feel the lower torso expand. When we take control of the breath consciously, as we just have, we're able to start to relax and harmonize the physical body, the somatic. And when we harmonize the somatic, that will in turn harmonize and relax the mind. So we go to a psychosomatic harmonization, and then we go back, somatic psycho-harmonization. Bring your awareness to your eyelids. Allow your eyes to gently blink open. Maybe just noticing in this last few moments of doing the breath work, first, of course, how you feel emotionally and energetically. And then notice if your mind was actually here, if you were consciously here with me most of that time and not thinking about what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow. So bringing these practices into our lives to keep our mind active, to go from the subconscious to the conscious is so therapeutic. I'd like us to begin today with a chest opener, and I'd like you to try this with a blanket. Now, the bigger you fold this blanket, the more intense the opening is going to be. And so you find what's the right way for you. If you roll it in a circle or in a like a jelly roll. Oh, jelly rolls. Lots of things come up when I think of jelly rolls. Sounds good, but then it makes me think about muffin tops and all right. So we're going to use this blanket, and if you do have a bolster or a pillow you'd like to put under your legs, and especially if you're nursing a lower back issue. I think I mentioned before we have so many nurses in this class. And so that just made me think of that. If you have hip, knee, or low back issues, supporting the knees underneath the bolster is very therapeutic, can be nice and relaxing. This prop that we put behind our spine, we're not sitting on it. It is on the floor. It's going to begin at your sacrum, which is the base of your spine. And then if you have osteoporosis, come to the side and reach your hand away so that when you come down onto the blanket, you're not rounding your spine. For those of you that don't, you can come down through a flexion position, coming down onto the blanket. And then for some of you, you may need more support up behind your neck. So you may need to bend the towel or blanket or whatever you have, or get something else to put across in the opposite direction, making like the shape of a letter T. And find what's appropriate for you. You don't want too much distraction of discomfort from the neck and the head and the upper back area. Really trying to open up the thoracic spine, the part of the spine behind the heart. And this is the part of the body that this part of the spine has the least range of motion capabilities. It's also what gets so much pressure from the way we sit and move throughout our day. And especially if we're under stress, because that postural position that stress puts into the body is usually a flexion position, and the head is forward, and the physical position itself can actually then contribute to the physical and emotional aspects of those feelings. So it may sound like a lot, but it's all true. And it's all real. And what's amazing to me is this beautiful practice of yoga is one of the only things I know that is a total mind-body practice and has all of these elements and components. If you were someone that needed to sit in a chair and practice this, or if you were during the day in a chair, you could take something behind the upper spine, behind the heart, place something behind the heart to help be supportive of the part of the spine that bends or flexes forward. Let the arms be out to the side. Hopefully you're feeling some kind of stretch where the arms attach to the body. And you could put your arms in different positions to try to feel this. For some of you, arms straight out to the side may bring this into your body. For others, you may need to come into what's called scarecrow, bending the elbows. Palms move up towards the wall behind you. And then for an even deeper experience or different experience, you could actually slide in this bent elbow position, slide the elbows down towards the waist, keeping the backs of the hands on the floor. So find what your body will allow you to comfortably be in, what your shoulders or your issues will safely allow you to be in. Bringing your awareness to your body, let's go up and down with the awareness to notice where you may feel some tightness, where you may feel some asymmetry, being very aware, almost like a detective, to notice where there may be stored tension in your body. Where there may be issues in your tissues. Bring your awareness into your lungs. We just expanded the lungs in all 6 ranges of motion. Up to the sky, back towards the ground, out to the sides, up to the top, down to the bottom. So go inside your chest right now with your awareness and try to find those movements. Either all at once, feeling or noticing that all the sides of the lungs, the top, the bottom, the sides, the back and the front are expanding, or try to do one movement pattern at a time. But be very conscious about what you're doing so that you're actually paying attention to it consciously. meaning you're putting it into a different part of your brain. So this is yoga for the brain, yoga for the breath. Wherever you are, I'd invite you to try the upper part of the lungs, so that as you breathe in and then up. You go to the top part of the lungs, which moves up towards the shoulders, up towards the ears. This can be very lovely to come in and to start to slowly stretch the part of the spine that rounds forward. And you can actually feel, or I can feel, maybe you can notice too, things stretching. And then notice if it's equal, right side, left side. And notice when you go deeper, does it go to other places? Does it emanate from the lungs to muscles, maybe in the chest or the shoulders? And wherever you are, allow your breath to happen. Stay conscious, stay with it. Notice the breath, as if you now could become a witness to all the work you've just done, to stretch, to activate, to bring online, to warm up, to nudge, to participate, creating space for. Just be an observer of your lungs expanding on the inhale. Go slow. Pause when you get to the top. Make the difference between the inhale and the exhale. When you exhale, let it be slow. Notice and imagine the lungs moving back to a smaller size. Finishing your last breath like this. Bringing your awareness to your fingers and toes. And then realize that you just did the most advanced part of your practice today so far. The most beneficial on a very deep level for your mental, emotional, and higher levels of you aspect, the more subtle you, the unseen you. And then also the physical body as well, because we put ourselves in a position of a extension position or supported back bend. Bring your knees to a bent position, and then let's roll onto the right side. Go slow to notice the release or whatever that sensation is that comes into the spine once we take out that support from behind the spine. Taking the hand onto the floor, you could use the top leg like a piston to help you get up. On the exhale, you're going to lead with the shoulder and this hand that's in the front. You're not going to let the head do this. Let the head come along for the ride. Take an inhale, look down at your hand, and as you exhale, bring yourself up to seated. We're going to match movement and breath today so that we keep bringing the subconscious and the conscious together so that you stay here with me in the practice. So the ways to keep us very present moment is to be moving with our breath, or when the practice gets more physically demanding, then the somatic gets to be what we pay more attention to. And we feel what's happening in our body. So we're going to come into a flow warm up. I just want to show you before you come down. It's nice to have a bolster or blankets or something there. You don't have to. It's definitely more muscularly challenging if you don't. I want to show you something about this warm up. You're going to begin with your head here and the arms are forward. Notice that when my arms are forward, my back is flat. So for anyone with osteoporosis, it's good to have not to flex the upper spine. For some of you, if you have no issues and you wanted to come through a child's pose, you could come through a child's pose to begin, which has more of a rounding in the spine. So you choose how you want to do this part, the flexion of the body. So you're either going to be in a puppy dog, tushy in the air, back is flat, or you're going to be, with a child's pose. So choose whatever is the right thing for you to be in. And then you're going to, when you come forward, you let your shoulders, elbows, and wrists be in alignment. And then you slowly lower down to come down onto the bolster. And then you open up into that extension. So we did this extension with that support, and then you come back. So you come forward, you lower down, we inhale up, and we come back. So find yourself, hopefully by now you've gotten yourself set up as I've demoed this. So let's take your arms straight and long. You're either in child's pose or in puppy dog. Back is flat or it's in flexion. You're going to inhale to bring yourself up, kind of round the lower back here. So add a little bit of flexion to lower back. When you lower down, keep your elbows in at your side. Your nose is pointing straight down toward your bolster. When you get down, you're going to open your throat, keep your elbows in the side of the body, and then feel that stretch in the front of the body. Exhale to come back. Inhale to come forward. Exhale to lower. Inhale to come up. Exhale to come back. Feel the stretch in the back of the body. Feel the stretch in the shoulders. When you exhale, feel that weight in the upper body using the muscles. Opening up the front of the body. Feel the stretch from the lower ribs down to the pubis bone. Exhale. When we are sitting, especially in a seated position, there's a shortening of the front of the body. So when we come into the extension position here, this stretches the front body. If you'd like to try this without the bolster, take the bolster away. It's definitely more challenging. So if you'd like to try it with the bolster, inhale to come forward. Exhale to lower down. Go slow. Inhale to come up. Exhale to come back. Inhale to come forward. Exhale to lower down. Inhale. Elbows are to the side of the body. Moving through the shoulder joint, moving through the hip joint, flexing the knees, flexing the spine. So warming up so many joints in the body with this simple movement through up dog and either puppy dog or child's pose. Last one, let's come all the way back and stay back. So whether you're in child or puppy, whether you have a bolster or not, you're going to inhale, keep your arms up. You're not going to bend your elbows. You're going to allow your pelvis to come down, open your throat. Feeling that stretch in the front of the body. Exhale back into child's or puppy, whichever is appropriate for your body. If you have osteoporosis, don't do child, do puppy. Inhale to come forward. Let your pelvis come down. Feel that stretch in the front of the body. Exhale to come back. Feel your body glove stretch. So with stress, it sits in our tissues. So we're stretching our body glove, trying to stretch and release any held tension, moving through, rolling through the joints so that we can create that lubrication in the joints. And then on your last one, you're going to come through, and then you're going to bring yourself up. Let's come all the way up here. Woo! Feel that in the arms. And then just notice, come up here. Let's just take the wrist, shake the wrists out. Some wrist movement as well. Very precarious place. If you fall, number one broken area of the body is the wrists. So we want to strengthen them by doing this. And if you load them up slowly and you come away from them and then load them up, that can be a really nice way to slowly build up the wrists. Let's take the wrists and roll them. This is actually these two muscles rolling over each other. And then let's stretch the wrists. I'll turn to the side for this. You're going to take your arms straight and then bend the wrist down And then take the back of the hand on don't do the fingers, not just at the fingers, but the top part of the hand. Keep that arm straight. Feel that beautiful stretch. I call it beautiful. I haven't had anybody yet tell me it's not beautiful. It feels pretty yummy. And then notice, are you wearing shoulder earrings? And if you're wearing shoulder earrings, can you lower your shoulder? So don't let the shoulder pop up to be a shoulder earring. Let the shoulder be down. Try to be just here. And then flip your hand up like you're saying, stop. And then let's stretch the hand like this. In many cultures around the world, many, and so many, it's crazy when you notice this. Let's go to the other side. In many cultures around the world, to ward off evil energy, the symbol to ward off evil energy is this. It's a hand. So there's a lot of the deities in Hinduism that have this symbol. Even in Judaism, there's the Hamsa. Let's flip the hand up. Let's go like this. And then in Greece, there's a lot of evil eye, right? There's an eyeball too for the evil eye. So this is our warding off the evil for the day. Going like that. No, stop, don't come near me. Today I'm going to be positive, positive. So we'll call this our practice of being Teflon and not Velcro, right? Let's think about that. We could become Teflon and let things bounce off of us and not stick, or we could be Velcro and let everything stick to us. So shake, shake, shake your wrists. Let's take we're going to come back onto our wrists. For those of you that your wrists are just saying, no way, you could come down onto forearms. I guess you could. That would be it's a little challenging. Almost tempted to have us all do it, but no, I'm not going to. Okay, let's come on to all fours. Let's do a spinal balance. So working on our balance aspects. If your wrists were really not having a nice time right now, you could actually take yourself and come onto fists for wrists, where you rest on this flat part. Take your hands and then slide one leg away, 1 foot away, doesn't matter which one. Inhale to rise, exhale to lower. Inhale to rise, exhale to lower. And then one more time, inhale to rise. Stay here, push your fingertips into the floor. Inhale, as you exhale, draw your elbow to your knee and your knee to your elbow. If you have osteoporosis, only let the leg come forward and don't let the elbow come down. You don't want to round your upper spine. If you don't have osteoporosis, you can come into that flexion position. Knee up towards elbow, try to touch them underneath if you can. One more. And then bring your hand down, bring your knee down. Take your opposite hand, opposite leg out. Inhale to rise, exhale to lower. Inhale to rise, exhale to lower. One more, inhale to rise, exhale to lower. We're going to do adding the abdominal aspect. Inhale, and then exhale, knee to elbow. Or just draw the knee in and don't round the upper if you have osteoporosis. This is core lengthening and contracting the psoas, which is a muscle that gets contracted when we sit all the time. Last one. And then bring yourself up. Shake your wrists. So I would imagine that you don't have time to think about your shopping list right now and all the other things that haven't yet happened in life. Staying very present moment. This is a little bit more conscious when we need to think about our body, be in things, move, coordinate, and work with balance. Getting more of the brain to fire up here. Now we're in the sensory cortex of the brain. So we're doing a lot of brain yoga today, which is good. Psychosomatic harmonization. All right. A block for this, we're going to do our plank, which is something we're doing because it's really great for creating body strength. So you're going to take your hands like this, if you have this. If not, you can actually fold your hands, and then the pinkies, instead of having one on top of the other, take them out and rest them so you have a nice solid pad here to come onto the floor. So take your block, bring your elbows so that they're underneath your shoulders. Let your knees be away. This is a modification of dolphin. So if you'd like to do the modification, depending on what you need in your life today, This will be a little bit less challenging. Press your hands into the floor and the knees, and draw the knees and the elbows towards each other. And if you want to come into the full dolphin, you're going to tuck your toes under. Press your toes into the floor and your arms into the floor. So now we get this opportunity to make our entire anterior chain, our front body, strong. Push your left foot into the floor if you're off on your knees. And if you're on your knees, push your left lower knee and shin into the floor more. So you really fire up that whole left side of the body. And then if you'd like, now we can go to the right. So press the right foot in, fire up that right side of the body. Feel that deep, deep, deep flexor chain turning on. Then come up to your elbows, push both elbows in, and then reach your head long, reach your feet long, or reach your tailbone long. Be really nice and tall and long here in your spine, wherever you are. Take one more breath, and then bring yourself down. Notice what you notice. A lot more muscular involvement with that pose. So there's a lot more demand for oxygen, and the breath deepens. So let's do a little flow or a movement practice here on the floor. Put your pelvis on the blanket so that your hip bones are supported. And then let's come up into this Sphinx pose to stretch the mid part of the body. We're going to lengthen the psoas, the top of the psoas. It's attached to the lumbar spine. So we're going to take your hands, one elbow and then on the other, and let's walk yourself over to the left. Let's all go to the same side. Walk over to the left. When you get to the left, the right elbow is directly underneath the right shoulder. And then you're going to press the right elbow into the floor and lift the right lower ribs, the right chest away from the floor when you do that. Feel that stretch along the right side. And then let the low back be soft. Let the pelvis be soft. If you'd like to add a little posterior tilt, it will deepen this stretch. So press the pubis bone, which is the bottom bone in the front of your torso, down into the floor. Push your right elbow, reach up and away. Feel that stretch along the right side. You could go a little deeper if you have that range of motion in your body to lift your body up. Make sure this feels appropriate for you if you do it pretty deep. Stretching from the lower right ribs down to the right hip bone or the hip joint, really. And then bring yourself down. Let's go to the other side. Move away from your body with length as you go over to the other side. So create length in your spine. Try to create length in all the bones, all the vertebrae as you move over to the side. Let your elbows be underneath your shoulder. So your left elbow is underneath your left shoulder. And then you push to lift away from the floor. Moving that left lower body away from the floor. Feel that stretch on the left side. Press your elbows in. Draw your body long, so create space in the spine, and laterally flex it over to the right. Breathe down to your belly. If you'd like to push the pubis bone towards the floor, you can. Breathe down to your belly. Then if you'd like to come a little higher, maybe that is available for you and maybe not. So just notice what you notice. And then bring yourself back down. Let's come center. Now pull length in your body. So your pelvis is on the floor. I want you to feel as you lower down that you're actually moving the lower ribs away from the top of the pelvis. So in that space where the lumbar spine is and then meets the thoracic, you're actually going to create space there, stretching the muscles of that part of your body. And then let's do a little flow here. Take the left hand, bend the elbow. That forehead is going to rest on the left hand, and the right hand is going to go straight out away from you. Pick up your legs one at a time and roll them so that the inner thigh rolls up towards the sky. The outer leg rolls down towards the ground. So it's a little internal hip joint rotation, creates a little more space in that lower back. Let your feet be relatively close. The toes, the big toes, are about 4 inches apart. On the next inhalation, lift the right arm up and the left leg up. Exhale to lower. Inhale to rise.
Exhale to lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale to lower. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. And on the next one, you're going to stay up. Reach your leg long, reach your arm long. So come into this with a lot of length in your body. And then try to lift that right arm a little higher if you can. Rolling that left leg in the socket so the sole of the foot points up towards the sky, not over towards the right side. So maybe that's a challenging thing for you to get right now, but we'll work on that. Take one more breath and then lower down. Take the right hand, go slow, feel what's happening here. Strengthening the back of the body, the diagonal pattern of the low back and the upper back, which is how the kinetic chain and the muscles of the body work to help support our posture, support our upper trunk, which will help with breath and all the stuff we're working on here today, or that we work on always. Take your left hand up, your right hand is away from you. On your next inhale, lift both off the floor. Left hand, right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. One more inhale, rise, stay here. Stay here. Keep trying to roll that leg in the socket so it's the inner thigh that rolls up towards the sky. The sole of the foot points up towards the ceiling. Lift your leg or lengthen your leg away, lengthen your arm away. And then on the next exhale, lower. Take your feet really wide and wiggle your pelvis back and forth side to side pretty strongly so that you feel like it's a jello mold that has little pieces of fruit in it. And you're going to push it and jiggle it and jiggle it and jiggle it so that even when you stop, it still jiggles a little bit. You'd see the fruit kind of jiggle. And in this case, the fruit is your bones. Let your bones soften. Let everything soften and try to wiggle your bones into a place of relaxation. And then take a couple of deep breaths down to the belly. So this is a great place to match the conscious and the subconscious. Take your feet actually wide. Let's do full crocodile. So take your feet wide as your mat, and then flip your feet. So the inner edges of the feet, the big toe edge, so the side, the inner side of the foot touches the floor. It might be challenging to try to get here. Maybe only part of your foot touches. Do whatever you can or whatever feels appropriate. And then fold the hands and put the back of the head, the forehead, put the front of the forehead, I guess, on the back of the hands. And breathe deeply here, all the way down to your tummy. Really feel the breath. Close your eyes. Feel the breath coming down below the ribs. So you don't even feel anything happen in the rib cage. All you feel is the bottom of the ribs expand and the soft belly that you're resting on expand. And the deeper you breathe, you'll feel your low back release. As you breathe the lower body into the lower body, you feel that stretch coming into the muscles of the back. Think about that lower spine. It's normally in a position called extension. When you breathe down, your contents of your belly presses up against that lower lumbar and gently stretches the back of the spine. See how high you can let your body move off the floor. The tummy's still touching, but see how high you can get the rise in your back up towards the sky. And see if in this position you're able to notice your heart rate.
Take one more breath, big, slow breath. Then you're going to bring your legs back to a neutral position. Take your right arm up. Notice how you feel right now. Notice if that actually took you to a place of relaxation. Roll onto your right side. Notice if that took you to a place of relaxation. So this is a really lovely way to ground the mental energy, to get that conscious subconscious link that we've been working on today. When you have your belly on the floor like that and you use the floor as feedback for bringing in the breath deep, we know there's been many scientific studies done that when we use the primary breathing muscle, the diaphragm, especially when we slow it down on the exhalation, that we actually stimulate and turn up the tone of the parasympathetic nervous system, where we rest, where we repair, and where we restore our body and our mind. Let's take your hand on the floor. Remembering how we got up at first, we're going to use this leg as like a piston. You're going to inhale, let your knee come in. And as you exhale, you slowly, slowly, slowly bring yourself up so that you bring yourself up from the floor. Let's do a little to stretch the feet. I know for some of you, this is quite a challenge. So let's see what you can do. You're going to take your feet, you're going to flip your toes under, bring the feet. So this right here, the way that I'm showing you is pretty much the most extreme when the legs are together. For some, maybe you're going to be able to find this by putting your legs, your feet, toes to the side. So see if you can find any variation of this. Try to get a little stretch in the feet. And or you can come into this position. And if you'd like to continue with the movement we've been doing today, you can inhale to rise, flip the toes under, and exhale to gently lower onto the heels. Inhale to rise, flip the toes under, and gently lower to the heels. Now for some of you, you may be looking at this thinking, you're crazy. If you can try to get to a place where you can get range of motion and openness in the feet, in the ankles, in the knees, working the quadriceps, the hips are flexing, a lot of lower body amazingness happening with this here. Pretty challenging maybe for some. Let's bring ourselves up, all of us. So it may be something that you could work towards because maybe some of your issues you can overcome. And then for some of you, maybe that's not anything you're ever going to do again at this point in your life. And that's okay too. So don't get too caught up in whether you can or can't. Your inner intelligence, your layer of discernment will look at that and say, no way, or okay, let me see if I can work towards that. So let's take a foot forward. We're going to come to a standing position here. Take your foot forward, and then you're going to flip your toes under, and you're going to push your body weight forward slowly. Go slow here. Go slow to come up and bring yourself all the way up. So we're going to come into a standing position. Let's grab a chair. So grab a chair. So you're going to grab a chair, and you might not need the chair actually, but I want you to grab it because there's some of you that may need this. And there is one thing I want to show. So I am going to do a warrior dance because last time I taught a warrior dance, or whenever I teach this warrior dance, people always say how great they feel. And so it's really lovely because it really stretches the inner thighs and creates space in the hip joint, which then frees up the pelvis. And because the sacrum and the tailbone are embedded in the pelvis and they're the base of the spine, when you free up the range of motion in this pelvis, it actually allows other things to soften, to loosen, to let go of their grip. So I love to do the warrior dance. I just want to show that for those of you that need to do a chair, because I know some people are in a chair, that the warrior dance can actually be done in a chair as well. You could do a warrior dance here, still getting some great aspects of this movement practice into your body. Okay, so your chair's in front of you if you feel a little wobbly. You're near the wall if you need to be near the wall. And then we're going to do our little warrior dance. And Another thing that I know has been beneficial for people is that you only do what's appropriate for your body. So this is not a race. You're not trying to prove anything here. The ideal would be a really deep. So to get flexion at 90 degrees here is the deepest to be in the warrior two position to do this actual practice. But if for you, your body says to you, this is my warrior two, then that's amazing too. So you're going to find whatever you can in your body. Let's take our feet wide. And then when we're here, let's just start to move the hips side to side. So the toes are pointing forward. Can you roll towards the pinky toe edges of your heels? You might start to feel a pretty strong stretch over your heels when you do this. And then if you actually try to move your hips side to side, kind of like hula, you'll see what you have available for yourself. And it might not be a whole heck of a lot. And then can you do Elvis Presley, which would be forward and back? You know that? You ain't nothing but a hound dog, or whatever it was. Forward and back. This is posterior and anterior tilting of the pelvis. So posterior and anterior tilting of the pelvis. And because you're in a wide stance, you're a little more limited. So if you're thinking that your Elvis Presley is not quite what it used to be, it's because your legs are pretty wide. Watch, come forward, come back to here, and now try to do your Elvis impression. Think about the tailbone here, the very base of your tailbone. Think about it really moving down so that it pulls you into this. Is a posterior tilt, anterior tilt. If your pelvis was a bucket of water, you're going to spill your water out the front, or you're going to spill your water out the back. Spill the water out the front, spill the water out the back. Take your legs really wide here. Let's take the toe, whatever direction you're facing, lift your toes up, turn your toes to the side. So toes are pointing forward, and then the back foot, you're going to lift the heel up, move the heel away from you. Try to keep your legs straight when you do that. Then let's do a little flow to come into this. Shoulders are forward, shoulders are up, shoulders are back, shoulders are down. Bend that front knee, push on the out pinky toe edge of the back foot. As you inhale to come down, body stays right on top of your pelvis. Exhale to come back up. Inhale down. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, we're going to stay here. You're going to come down. This is your warrior two. So how deeply can you bend that front knee? And do you need to move the foot forward? Can you bend deeply? Can you keep your body right over the pelvis? And then take the front hand, flip the hand up, reach the hand up towards the sky, and the back hand goes down the thigh. Again, create space here. Lift the lower ribs away from the pelvis. Keep that front knee bent and come forward into what's called side angle. Take your hand here. When your hand touches, you could rest for a second, and then you lift your torso away and you turn your torso forward and you reach your hand up and over. That entire side is nice and long. This is side angle. And then let's dance. Inhale up, exhale. Push your feet into the floor. Move the upper torso. The rib cage, the lower rib cage is moving back and forth, and the top edge of the pelvis is pretty stationary. So we're in this part of our body today, in that whole midsection, creating space in between the top pelvis. This is going to free up, hopefully, a lot of tension for many of you in the back and in the pelvic area, the hips, the knees, everything, the whole thing. Let's bring yourself back into side angle, and from side angle into a warrior two, and from a warrior two, straightening the leg, bring yourself forward. Let's take ourselves out, shake your feet. Maybe here you notice some ankle work as well. Total body. And then notice how conscious you are. Notice how somatically aware you are. Whether that's the heart rate, the ankles are talking to you, the knees, whatever it is. I don't want you to feel knees in terms of compression. So for those of you with the knee issues, here's the tips about the knees. If you push the heel of that bent knee into the floor, you're going to activate that posterior chain, turning on the tushy. And then on the leg that's away from you, that knee's not bent anyways, it's the ankle joint. So let's take our feet really wide, pick up your toes, turn your toes away from you and your heel away from you. And then a slight bend in that front knee. Now right away, push your heel into the floor strongly. Feel how that really fires up the glutes and that whole back of the body when you do that. You could even try to like lift the toes up of that front leg. and see if that takes pressure out of that knee. So don't let it come down to that knee. Don't let everything be going here. Don't let your torso go forward so that everything is like, here you go, knee, take this, take this. No, pressure down the side of the foot, body goes down, knee bends. You load up that joint, but really turning on that posterior chain. Shoulders are up, they're back, and they're down. Hands are down alongside the body. Inhale, push away from that straight back leg and push away from that front heel. Exhale, back pinky toe edge, front heel. Feel that tushy really get involved when you do that. Exhale to lower, inhale to come out. One more. You're going to exhale to lower, stay down, stay here, stay here. And then you're going to turn the palm up, the front palm. You're going to inhale into your reverse. Reach and lift those lower ribs away from the top of that pelvis. Feel that space you're creating there. And then you're going to exhale, push that front heel into the floor. When you bring your body weight over here into your side angle and use that arm to push into the knee, to push the knee away from you, push the heel into the floor, rotate your trunk forward, arm is up, and then lengthen on that whole lateral chain. Let's dance. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Don't be so heavy when you bring your arm down. Push that front heel into the floor. One more. Come back into your side angle. Stay here. Bring yourself back into your warrior two. And then push your leg. Let's come all the way up. Notice your quads here. Let's do this a little bit here. All right. Love that. It's one of my favorites. Okay. We're going to come back down onto the floor. Let's finish our practice really nice today with some relatively relaxing stuff. So you're going to need for the end of the practice a blanket and a block. When you bring yourself down into the floor, let's move nicely, please. Maybe you need a chair or a wall to get down, and if you don't, can you take your stance a little wide? Can you bend your hips and not your knees? Bend your hips, not the knees are bending, but it's not all knees bending. Bend your hips, keep your back flat. Keep going, and then come down. Might be a challenge, a little wider with the stance. Maybe you need something to help support you. And then let's come all the way down onto our backs. Grab your block, take your block between your knees. So we're going to do a gentle bridge flow since we just came out of something pretty challenging. For those with the knee issues, this is good because we're going to strengthen the back of the body, and the back of the body helps to support the front of the body. And I find that most of us don't use our back body as often as we should, and we put too much on the front. So raising our awareness to that. And notice here if your heart is still accelerating, or notice how much somatic involvement has been going on for you today in the practice. Take the block, bring the block between the knees. Walk the feet a little closer to the body. Let's take the arms over. Now, you do not look side to side here. So once you start to lift your body weight off the floor, don't let your head go to the side. So whatever movement you have, there's 26 vertebrae. Let's try to articulate each joint, either opening the front of the spine, trying to open the front of the vertebra, or trying to open the back of the vertebra. So that's what we're going to focus on, is the front of the spine and the back of the spine. Inhale, arms are overhead. Squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Let the low back move towards the floor. So you posteriorly tilt. You try to push the top edge of the pelvis into the floor, and the tailbone points away from you. Inhale here. As you exhale, start to squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy, peel the spine off the floor, one vertebra at a time. Once you get to where the rib cage is, the arms are moving down. You push the rib cage up away from the floor, push the heart towards the face. And then when you inhale, you push the vertebra by the heart into the floor first, down the rib cage, try to get the low back to touch, then the top of the pelvis, then the sacrum, then the tailbone. Arms are all the way overhead. You feel the belly stretch maybe. Low back is away from the floor, but the tailbone is touching. Exhale, begin with that flexion, flexion in the low back, pressing the low back into the floor. Don't look anywhere. Keep your eyes closed. Feel your spine moving. Feel the front of the spine stretching, feel the back of the spine stretching. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Squishing the fluid in the vertebral discs from the front to the back evenly. Getting a nice movement in that spine, nice joint articulation, creating a nice secretion of fluids throughout the body. The next time you come all the way up, let's stay up for just a few breaths here. Not a crazy bridge today. Don't look side to side. Stay up, feel the back of your body, push your heels into the floor and let your toes come off. Squeeze the block, squeeze your tushy. Let your tushy help to lift your pelvis up a little higher. Bring your awareness to the back of the ribs. Push the back of the ribs up towards the sky. Reach them away from the floor. Take one more breath. And then slowly, slowly, slowly come all the way down. Bring your knees into your chest. Take the block to the side, rocking side to side. Bring your soles of your feet up to the sky. So that's the important thing here. Legs are spread. Top thighs are close to your torso. Soles of the feet are up towards the sky, and you rock side to side. We're going to do a little twist. You may need your block for this. Push your feet on the floor, pick up your pelvis, move your pelvis to the left. So your rib cage stays on the floor, your shoulder blades stay on the floor. You just push your pelvis over to the left a little, and then bring your knees into your chest and let your knees roll over to the right. Try to keep the left shoulder blade on the floor. So you may need to support your legs under or between. And I find that it's kind of nice to put the block down near the ankle joint area. If you'd like to bring the right hand on top of the left leg, you could do that. Breathing down to the belly. I want you to notice what you notice in your body, so stay very conscious here. Don't go to the subconscious, which is the place of thought, especially if you're thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, things that aren't real, because that's subconscious, right? The only thing that's conscious is this present moment. The place that you are, the floor that you're on, the mat that you're on, the props that you're using, the voice that you're hearing, the body that you're in, all of that is what is conscious and real in this moment. So see if you can stay fully present here. Bring your awareness to the parts of your body you're stretching. Feel that stretch. See if you could create anything a little deeper by moving the top of your pelvis a little farther away from the rib cage. So the left lower ribs a little farther away from the top left pelvis. See if that feels okay. You can press your belly button towards your spine. So when we go into the somatic, we go to a different part of the brain, the sensory cortex, where we're actually noticing aspects of our body. And then we're going to bring ourselves up. So let's bring one knee at a time. I find that to be the most safe way to move, to bring one knee up at a time. When you come back to center, you push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, and then turn your pelvis or move it over to the right. Bring your knees up pretty high, close to your chest, not far away from your body, not right above your pelvis, up high by your chest, by your heart, and let the knees go over to the left. Use the block wherever you need it, if you need it. Try to keep that right shoulder blade on the floor. Palms are up towards the sky. And then take deep breaths all the way down to your belly. When we were on our bellies today, breathing towards the belly, we had our awareness there. Bring your awareness there now. Take a few more breaths here. Creating that space in the body that you did on the other side. Then you're going to bring your knees to your chest to come out, bringing yourself. We're going to end with our Shavasana. So you're going to prepare by putting the blanket behind your head. And I'd like you to put the block on your belly or something on your belly. It could be a blanket. It could be something for feedback as you take your legs straight and you bring yourself into the Shavasana pose. Feel the block rise and fall. Keep your awareness with your breath. Keep your awareness on your block or whatever it is you have on your belly. So gently begin to deepen the breath. Start to wiggle your fingers, your toes. And then gently bend the knees, bring the knees into the chest, rocking side to side. Rocking onto the right side. Pushing yourself up, leading with the shoulder, not the head. Coming into a seated position. We're going to use sound. The sound Om, blending the ah, the o, and the sound. Take the hands together, the thumbs touch the sternum bone. Sit nice and tall, so find that nice length in your spine that you've worked on all day today. Be inside your body. Feel what you feel. Notice what you notice from the beginning of class to where you are now. Take a deep breath down to the belly. Namaste to everyone that practiced with us today, wherever you are. Thank you. So I'd love to hear from a few of you how you're feeling, what you notice, what you're learning, what you're experiencing. That would be nice for me to know. And then I just want you to think about in this last hour plus, how often you were in the moment, in your body, in whatever it is we were doing, versus in the past or the future, which are not real and don't even exist. Crazy to think, but true. So Dina, sorry, I couldn't answer you during the class because I'm not near my computer to see. I'm far away, so I actually can't read anything. I know that things are coming through, but I can't actually on the moment say anything. Yeah, it takes time. It takes practice to get your mind to stop. It was not so easy for me in the beginning, and now I understand the value in getting my mind to stop and slow down. So I do it all the time. I do it every day. I try to just bring myself to this perfect place, and then you increase your equanimity, the ability to roll with the punches of life, to ride the roller coaster of life. So it takes practice. That's why they call it a practice, because it's not something you perfect and it's not something you just do. It's something you practice over and over and over again. Perfect. You're welcome, Sharon. Yeah, thanks, Dina. Great. Well, he feels taller, and Dave's already so dang tall, right? Wow, Dave, taller. And then you're welcome. Wow, Joanne, yeah. Good. I love that, Joanne. I love that you're feeling good now. Emotional. Yeah, this could potentially, when we start to go conscious, subconscious, and we start to really be present, there's a lot of stuff that can come up, a lot of burning away of things, a lot of stuff. Yeah. So hopefully that's good. And then there's a release and then a relief from that. Dina. Yes. Thanks, Dina. And I can always come back and look at it. George. You're welcome. So nice to have you guys here. I miss you all. I wish I could see you. When I close my eyes, when I see your names, I'm like, I visualize Joanne, I visualize George. I know Steve's out there. Joy, I'm visualizing you guys, all of you, where you are, Dave. And I've been with Dave and Lynn at their house, so I know where they are. George, I'm imagining you in your room. Cindy's in the other room. Like, I'm wondering where Eleanor and Stan are, and Christine and Nathan. Like, I visualize you guys when I say hello and see you. So I know that you're there. And then throughout practice, when I say do this, I'm thinking, oh, wait, George's knees don't like to bend. Or is this okay for Stan to do this? Or will this hurt Dina's blah, blah? Or will this be good for so and so? So I do think of that through the whole practice. I'm thinking about you guys as I'm instructing those of you that I know and have worked with in the past so that I can hopefully help you make some accommodations. Yes. Well, we'll be together. I was thinking about that yesterday, that it's going to be amazing because one day it will happen. I don't know when. And of course, when you're sitting in front of something, it always seems like, oh my God, it's going to be a year or whatever it's going to be. Don't freak out when I say that. But I just thought, there is going to be a day where I'm going to walk back in there and I'm going to be in person with people teaching. And so I don't know when it'll be, but it is going to happen. And so that's what I'm thinking or focusing on. Yeah, thank you, Martha and Nancy, and Rick and Lauren or Rick or both. I don't know if you guys know who Mark Hyman is, Dr. Mark Hyman. He's one of the functional medicine doctors that I follow, and I use a lot of his wisdom and advice to share in the work that I do. He's doing a taping right now of a show. I believe the show is going to be called Food is Medicine, and it's here locally. I went last year. So right now I'm going to quickly change. I'm going to get my stuff on, and there's only 50 people in the audience. I was there last year, and hopefully I'm going to ask him some questions too. I just love him, and I love the work he's doing. So Dr. Mark Hyman, functional medicine doctor, really trying to help people heal themselves through their food and their lifestyle and behaviors. And he used to be a yoga teacher. So my goal would be to be his yoga teacher, for him to take me on as his yoga therapist to share this with his people. All right, I am off to go and to do my thing. So have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me as always. I'm here because you're here. I couldn't do it if you weren't here. So thank you. Have a great weekend. All right, bye.